Thank you. We will start our meeting.
You're gonna get an echo with that door open.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I gotta close the door.
Heidi, just let me know, and then I can hear it.
Okay. Hopefully everybody got to enjoy just a great fall day in Winona County. I mean, that's the top 10 day, and we got to enjoy these because we know what's coming. It's an awesome day for everybody. We start our meeting with public comment. Each speaker has 2 minutes. You need to come to the podium, state your name and address, and there will be a timer that shows up on the screen so you can judge how long how long your comments will be. And we also take comments. We have people waiting in the hall, and we may have people on the phone, so we will try and get to everybody. So we open it up for public comment. Anybody wishing to address the county board?
Good evening, Christy Ransom, President and CEO of the Winona Chamber, representing the Winona 902 East 2nd Street, Winona. I am here on behalf of the Winona and area businesses, so businesses of the entire county, who are in strong opposition to a mandate. I know that this is something that is being strongly considered, and I want you to understand that our businesses have been through a lot in a year and a half. Not only have they been told how to run their businesses for a year and a half through mandate after mandate after mandate, but they've learned a lot about how to keep their staff and their customers safe. I believe that they have very good knowledge of who they serve and how they want to run their businesses. We're not here to oppose masks or talk about masks or no masks. We're here to oppose mandates. So I think that they can very strongly do what is best for them and make good decisions and sound decisions. And I ask on behalf of all of those businesses of the entire county who you represent to be mindful of what they've been through and what they would have to endure. In one day of Winona city mandate, I talked to 5 businesses who had fights in their businesses. With workforce shortages, in 3 of those businesses, they were single staffed with college students. That isn't something they're equipped to deal with. That isn't something that our business owners are equipped to deal with. They're exhausted and they don't need another mandate handed their way. I ask respectfully for you to really consider that as you weigh all of your options looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the Winona County Board?
My name is Paul Kreidemacher, Rolling Stone, Minnesota, and I'm here tonight to represent. I've got 372 signatures on a petition here, and I'm here to represent them people. There's far more still out there. This is a wide variety of people. We have farmers, teachers, business owners. We have their employees. We have first responders, healthcare workers, people in the education system. We have Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Some wear masks, some do not. Some are vaccinated, some are not. Some are young, some are old. There's one thing that these people all have in common. They do not want the county board to have emergency powers to put on mandates. It didn't go well in Minnesota. The county board, with its 5 members that represent different areas of the county, were given the duties. This board should not make this decision. It should be up to the voters, not 5 people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the board?
Yes. I'm Tim Regan, Goodview. Good evening. I'm speaking in opposition to the mask mandate. When it comes to public health concerns regarding COVID-19, we're regularly admonished to follow the science, so I did that. And what I discovered is the t-shirt material that we're all staking our lives on is ineffectual in mitigating viral spread. A study of cloth masks published by the medical journal Peer J concludes that pore sizes in cloth masks range from 80 to 500 microns. The medical journal Lancet Respiratory Medicine reports the size of the viral aerosols that we sneeze, cough, and breathe out is predominantly less than 5 microns. To build on that, a Danish randomized controlled trial with 500 participants published in the Annals of Internal Medicine found no statistically significant effect of high-quality medical face masks against COVID-19 infection in a community setting. Because our governments have been so inconsistent with their COVID-19 policies, and in light of emerging truths, I cannot, with a clear conscience, support any mandate that is not science-based. Additionally, a mask mandate would act as a very strong disincentive to support any Winona County merchant. It's very easy for me to get the goods I need by shopping online or in Olmsted or La Crosse counties. And finally, I leave you with a question. What is so unique about Winona County that we are facing this mandate when the other 86 Minnesota counties have not felt compelled to impose any? Thank you for your attention, and I yield my time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the county board?
My name is Dave Ogren. I just moved here in June from St. Paul. One reason I left St. Paul was because government is out of sync and it is destroying a civil society. That's what's going on here, the destruction of a civil society and being all righteous about it. This law is absurd, and it will be regretted in years to come if it goes through. This is not for the health and welfare of the city or the people of this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you be willing to ask them to state their address?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. We need your address.
Oh,
Yes.
218 West Broadway Street.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address? Okay.
My name is Tammy Eastup, and I live in Winona, Minnesota. Do you need my full address?
Please.
It's 8300 East 10th Street, Winona.
Thank you.
Which is actually Stockton, but it's
Okay.
Winona address. All right, so I'm speaking as a public school teacher, and I'm probably going to get emotional because this is really, it's been hard on the students to have to wear masks in the public schools. And I'm imploring you not to make these students wear masks outside of school as well. It's hard to hear the students, it's hard for them to hear the teachers, even with the plastic face shields that a lot of us have been wearing. These kids need to see our facial expressions. They learn a lot from seeing facial expressions. They learn a lot. So I'm imploring you not to have this mandate go through and enforce these kids to have to wear masks outside of school. I beg you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Eastup, same address as her, 8300 East 10th Street, Stockton. Thank you for the opportunity to share just a few insights and information I have found after taking the time to be informed about COVID and the risks associated with it. For those that feel they need protection from the virus, they now can get the vaccine and or wear the mask if they so choose. Everyone has access to both of these now. For the rest, they are willing to take the risk, whatever that may be. But that's the beauty of freedom and choice. So the question I ask you, who are you trying to protect with this mandate? Is it our children? The science is clear and undisputed. The risk of children getting seriously ill or dying from COVID is extremely low. They also are not significant spreaders of COVID, as most are asymptomatic even when infected. How can we morally and ethically justify using our children as guinea pigs, really, to protect adults? Where is our compassion and duty to protect our children at all costs? If anything, the adults should be willing to assume so-called extra risk to protect these kids. We need to get rid of selfishness and overcome the irrational fear that is permeating our society. Fear leads to irrational behavior and poor decisions. Most of the EU countries have eliminated mask mandates in schools because they know the science about masking and the risk posed by the virus to kids and their ability to transmit to adults is low. If you're trying to protect the most vulnerable, which represents 80% of deaths in Minnesota, according to statistics, nursing homes, elderly, high risk, the vast majority of those people are already vaccinated, at least 90%. The rest of the population has over 99.5% survival rate. How can there be a health crisis if that's the case? So if we're not protecting the elderly and high risk or the children, who are you trying to protect through this mandate? If we want to continue living in a free society, then we all have to assume some risk. Let it be up to the individual how much risk they're willing to take. Talk to our brave men and women who have fought for our freedoms, how much risk they were willing to take for us. Without their individual choice to take the risk, we wouldn't be talking here today. That's the beauty of America. No risk equals no reward. On the other hand, the ability and freedom to take risk leads to success, accomplishments, and advancements of our nation. Freedom is risky. Driving to work, mountain biking, fishing, doing whatever you love, there's always risk associated with it. The statistics and science clearly indicate this is not significant enough risk to keep taking individual freedoms away. I'll leave you with this. I'm a believer in Christ. As a believer, I'm called to not live in fear, but to put my faith and trust in Jesus. It means I follow his commands and use the intellect, wisdom, common sense, and gifts he has given me to make decisions I think are best, and then trust him for the outcome. That's true freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, I'm Jeannie Henderson, 1512 Homer Road. I'm a Winona native. I've lived here all of my life except for 2 years when I taught down in Iowa. When our daughter was ready to go to kindergarten, we took her to preschool screening. And both Dave and I are educators, so we knew she was ready. She knew all this stuff. So I took her, the girls took her into the other room, and they came back out a short while later and said, she failed. What do you mean she failed? She wouldn't do a thing we told her. I went home mortified. I said to my dad, this is what happened. He said, well, good for her. Do you want her to do everything anybody tells her to do? You're raising a strong child. Now fast forward to 2020. I'm told, you're told, masks are what you need. So I diligently made masks, tons of them. I even had one mask that I got from my sister, the pattern, where you could even slide a filter in, extra. And I made them, gave them out, people wore them, only to find out the efficacy of a mask is no. I'd like to read just a quote from Thomas Jefferson. We in America do not have the government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participate. All tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience who remain silent. Here, I'm not remaining silent.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the county board? I think there might be some people out in the hallway. Ben? Okay, if you want to shift out, that'd be great. Otherwise, they can come in.
Thank you. Some of you know me. I'm Bob Reiner, 23216 County Road 17. And I wanted to start by just saying that none of us here are opposed to wearing masks. What we're opposed to is a mandate that tells us we have to. I guess I would ask some questions I hope you think about. Why is Winona County the only county in a 5-state area that is thinking this is a necessary move? Why are we taking this, or why are you taking this step now when cases are dropping? When I talk to other counties, I have ascertained that they see a real problem in piecemealing an approach to wearing masks, where each county would have a different set of rules or a different ordinance. That's difficult for people to understand it and follow the rules. And also, I'd like you to think about the fact that the most recent research in this area shows that masks are not effective. They're effective perhaps in keeping saliva and mucus from spreading out, but this virus actually is spread by what they call aerosols. Aerosols pass right through them. They stay in the air for a long period of time, and masks just aren't working for them. I guess one other thing I think is important is that if you were to mandate something like this, you're overstepping the authority of other elected officials, like the school board or cities. So the last thing I would say, and I'm going to be over, is how are you going to enforce it? It is nearly impossible. You're going to take sheriff's deputies from the duties that they need to perform, like protecting property and people, and ask them to come and get Bob Reiner and take him off to jail because I didn't wear a mask. Where's the priority? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else out in the lobby that wishes to speak? Come on in. Need you to stand at the podium there with the microphone and need you to state your name and address, please.
Emily Potter, and then 135 Center Street, South Utica, Minnesota.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I am not here with fancy stories or data science to present to you, but I'm here as my voice in front of the people, the county that I live in, that I'm against the mask mandate, as is other people who can speak to you. But I just want you guys to know that. So,
Okay.
thank
All right.
you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the county board?
Why are you playing with this cross? I'm not. Why is it over here? I don't know. You don't know. I'm not playing with it.
Hello, the person that's in hinterland. I do have a speaker in front of us. Can you wait just the 2 minutes and then log in? Okay.
Shut the door here.
Okay, we will listen to the person that's in front of us at this time. Please hold on out there in hinterland. We want to hear from you. Go ahead.
My name is Annie Castleman, 503 West Howard Street. My dad was a great storyteller, and I will never be as good as he, but I love stories, and I just want to share a little one with you. My daughter Emma is 14 and has disabilities. She cannot walk or talk, and it was not a question of whether she'd wear a mask. She would never keep one on. She just can't have anything on her face or her head. So that was fine at school. We were out one day at Menards, and the woman who was helping us pick some paint was wearing her mask because that was part of her job, which is fine. And she kept saying to my daughter, "Hi, Emma." I mean, she didn't know her name at the time, but she said, "Hi, hi." And I said, "Well, Emma can't talk or walk. She can't speak to you." And she said, "Okay." And so she tried to talk again. "Hi, Emma. Hi." And Emma just stared at her. And finally she said, pulled her mask down and said, "Hi, Emma." And she got the biggest smile from my daughter. And anyone who knows her knows she has one of the prettiest smiles you'll ever see. It hit me then about
I'm sorry, what?
Emma not needing a mask. It's about her needing to be able to see other people's faces. Emma's development is very slow. But when she can see other people, it shows her she's okay, that she's safe, and that helps with her development. I think it's very important to give people an option so that she can know that her caretaker or anyone around her in her community wants to see her and say hello to her. She can communicate in the only way that she knows how. Thank you.
Thank you. The people on the phone, did you want to comment?
You tell them to mute their mic unless they're going to speak.
Right. Did you want to speak? I see I apologize, I can't pronounce it. Regina Alexander, maybe? Hello? Okay, we'll go on. Please state your name and address.
Yes, ma'am. Aaron Slavey, 127 Wildwood Drive, Winona, Minnesota. Approximately 11 days ago, we created a survey through an online platform called SurveyMonkey. And this was just an unbiased way for us to do what we call a trickle-down effect. So we created an online survey asking 3 simple questions, and I can share those results with you all tonight. And the 3 questions were, question 1, do you feel the Winona County Board has the right to implement a mask mandate? The second question was, do you support a county mask mandate? And the third question was, do you oppose a countywide mask mandate? Now, when we submit this survey out to the general population, we didn't know who would receive it. This was shared via social media, text messaging, emails, all sorts of different platforms. And our goal was just to gauge an interest in how much participation we would have. So we sent the survey out on the 17th of this month, and so far this evening, we're at over 700 responses. And so I bring this up as an example where it's the power of us coming together as a community, because for every one of us who is here tonight, I'm strongly confident that there's several hundred others who have the same opinions and feelings in a pro-choice matter. So I leave you tonight with just that we as a community have gathered together, and I ask that if you're considering pursuing a mandate, that you do your homework as well. Talk to your constituents, talk to the general population to understand what do people in your community truly want. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the county board?
Hello, my name is Stephanie Babel and I live at 326 Mankato Avenue. Thank you for taking the time to listen to all of us tonight. We appreciate it. So I would like to start out, after 18 months of this pandemic, there is more than enough evidence to show masks do not work in preventing the spread of the COVID virus. Trying to enforce masks countywide could affect what our schools do with our children. I, like many other concerned parents, went to the school boards to educate them on why this is not the right approach and to respect parent choice. Here are some of the points that I made to them. According to the CDC, in the United States, you have a 1.6 chance of dying from COVID if you get it. 1 to 4-year-olds have a 0.2 chance of dying from COVID if they even catch it. Yet they have a 2.8 chance of drowning, which is a significantly higher chance. So should we mandate life jackets for all of our children to be walking around in to save them from drowning? 5 to 14-year-olds, also a 0.2 chance of dying from COVID if they catch it, while suicide for that rate is 1.5. So where is the real pandemic? According to findings published in the CDC Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, there was a 22.3 spike in ER trips for potential suicides by children ages 12 to 17 in the summer of 2020 as compared to the summer of 2019. After they had to spend an entire school year in masks all day, every day, and everywhere they had to go in public. We know what masking does to our children. It has a serious mental health toll on young people. The inability to communicate, the inability to even hear what their teachers are saying. Masking makes people unfamiliar with each other. It makes you less likely to be able to empathize with others. It can also decrease your oxygen intake. That is not good for you. Any neurologist would agree with me. And it can even be a source for potential infection, such as bacterial pneumonia. Simply put, masks do not work. They are dehumanizing. And any mandate that forces the use of an experimental medical device, which is what they are described as under the current Emergency Authorization Act that they are approved under, it is an experimental medical device, and it is a clear violation of our constitutionally protected rights. I am in charge of my own health, and I do not consent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Hello, my name is Susan Koo. I live at 36 Lake Street in Winona. There's been a lot of talk lately about our local medical facilities being at capacity and dangerous levels, but yet when you check the CDC tracker every day, you come up with very low admission rates and even lower death rates. Previous statements that were made a couple of weeks ago, it actually had to be clarified that references to critical capacities had more to do with staffing shortages than numbers of COVID admissions. Just 3 days ago, the Winona Daily News reported that unlike many hospitals across the nation, Winona Health currently is at a positive status with its staffing and capacity.
This is an opposite message, and that breeds mistrust in our community. Our community is taking on COVID patients from other areas. As for positive test results, how many people are testing over and over and over again because they need a negative test to go back to work, or they need their child to have a negative test so that they can go back to school, so that they can go back to work? Out of 87 Minnesota counties, Winona currently ranks as 77th for transmission rates. 76 other counties in our state have higher transmission. The CDC uses the COVID Community Vulnerability Index number, which reflects characteristics from an area that might make it more vulnerable to a COVID-19 outbreak and health-related and economic suffering as a result. The score is based on 40 variables, and it ranges from 0 to 1. So the lower the score, the lower the vulnerability. So a score of 0 to 0.20 would correspond to very low vulnerability. Winona's 0.08. Lastly, can we please just end this on a positive note? Speaking of which, do you ever notice how there's never happy news about how many people have had COVID and recovered, or celebrating 0 current reported deaths in our area? How about connecting current transmission rates with the advancement of natural immunity, which also works? I'm not anti-mask, I'm just anti-mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the county board?
Hi there, my name is Matt Marsalik. I live at 23914 Garden Heights Road. As board members, you all took an oath. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of County Commissioners in the County of Winona, the State of Minnesota, to the best of my judgment and ability. Several federal entities, state entities, both private and public, have been violating the civil liberties of the people of Minnesota for a period that is great too long. In the past 19 months, as Articles 1, Section 2, by compelling the people of Minnesota to participate in wearing masks, getting injections described as vaccines, and providing proof of medical treatment such as vaccine testing. These said entities are also violating 18 U.S. Code State Statute 242, deprivation of rights under color of law, which I have a copy here for all of you. Governor Tim Walz, along with the county board, have taken an oath to uphold the secure rights of the U.S. and the Minnesota Constitution listed above. No mandate, executive order, or law, no matter how it is passed, may take away the right enumerated or unenumerated in the Constitution. As residents of Winona County, we are asking the board members to honor their sworn oath and defend the U.S. and Minnesota Constitution. We compel you to discharge faithfully the duties of the office to the best of your abilities. We will utilize all avenues to ensure this board does so, and we request that you do not pass a mask mandate that will violate our rights secured to us by the U.S. and Minnesota Constitution. On September 27th, 2003, exactly 18 years ago yesterday, I gave an oath to this country to uphold and defend the Constitution. When I joined the Marine Corps, raising my right hand and pledging the oath was not just formality, it was a way of life. Adhering to the Constitution is paramount for ensuring the freedom of all Americans. If you choose not to follow the Constitution that you swore an oath to, it is time that your seat is replaced with someone who will fight for our rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the county board?
Thank you for your service.
Woo! Okay, all right.
How we doing? Darren Engler, 313 East 10th. I'm aware Marshall Ward and Steve Jacob are not in favor of a mask mandate ordinance, so my comments will be directed at the 3 commissioners that voted yes, and the county attorney that apparently had a legal opinion in favor of this and agreed to move ahead with spending dollars on drafting this ordinance. How many of you did any research before voting yes to pursue this task? I'm guessing you just saw it as your duty to protect, and I understand that. What data have you tapped into to base your decisions on? I'm aware that you got input from Winona Health, Gunderson, and Mayo. Most would feel those are good sources of data. I ask you for, if anything has been discussed with them on the negatives of masking. I would bet they never mentioned that. I would also bet you did not ask them any questions of that nature. I think that certainly be an important question. Now, one thing these sources all have in common is they stand to profit if more people fear this virus. It is your duty to look at all data, and not just the data that supports your initial intention. You need to take a hard look at your sources and do some deep digging and ask some tough questions if you're going to try to put this mask mandate on an entire county. Maybe have these experts at a public hearing to answer questions from the residents of this county. I know many residents have questions you probably did not ask. I think this could really convince the mask choice people we need this, right? I could be convinced if the experts could answer my questions in a public question and answer session. This is one government control that does not need to be in your hands. Sincerely, take a logical look at what is presented tonight. Challenge yourself to question what you have been led to believe about masking and this virus. Even then, if you still are on the same side of things, ask yourself if you truly, sincerely think it's a government position to control the entire county with a masking ordinance. Ask yourself if government can get too big. Ask yourself if maybe this is a step too far. Ask yourself if maybe Winona County citizens are capable of handling this without government involvement. I believe it's realistic to say many of Winona County residents can live with anyone masking that wants to, but many do not see a need to have that choice taken away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address? Podium and state your name and address, please.
Klaus Weissing, 17441 Highway 14, Utica, Minnesota. I would just like to say that if people want to wear masks, then they can wear masks, and if they really do work, then there's no reason to make people who don't want to wear masks because then you're safe if you have a mask, and I would say the same for the vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? We're approaching a half an hour. We've exceeded, but please come in. If there's anybody else, yeah, line up. Ben, survey the group and we'll go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Hemker. I live at 32495 Headwaters Drive, Winona, Minnesota. I'm here for very simple reasons to exercise my rights as a citizen. I will not wear a mask. My son will not wear a mask. I will strongly consider moving to Rushford School District, and I definitely will not be shopping in Winona. I will go to La Crosse, and it's a choice every day. 10-minute drive to Winona or a 20-minute drive for La Crosse, and it wouldn't affect me at all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Last one, okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Friedrich Weissing. I live at 17441 Highway 14, Utica, Minnesota. My little brother was in here a minute ago. Just wanted to say I have worked in Winona for about 6 years prior to COVID. I had lunch in Winona every single day, Blue Heron or Blue McCrouds. I figure I've spent $16,000 to $20,000 between Blue Heron and Blue McCrouds. You can judge my financial choices, that's fine, but I've supported local businesses a lot. I have, this spring, decided to go back and start training in martial arts again. I need to try to get back into shape. And the martial arts studio I chose to go to had a mask mandate. So I decided that I would go to a martial arts studio in La Crosse that did not. And that has been my choice with the local restaurants that also were forced by the city to institute a mask mandate. So I think if you actually care about the businesses in Winona, you would not try to force our local businesses to require masks for people like me who spend stupid amounts of money there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. I think everybody, there has a couple people on the telephone. Is there somebody on the telephone line that wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, I do. Are you able to, am I able to share my screen? Are you able to see that?
Probably not, but go ahead.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes, and if you have something, you can forward to the county administration, and they can make sure we all get copies.
All right, I will do that. I'm Eric Wallen. I'm at 1411 Heights Boulevard, and really just following up on what I spoke about last time. And it's really looking at the data. And my big question is, what's the health crisis that's necessitating this mandate? And as I look at the data, and I'll send you guys a copy of what I have. You can look at back to last March, two Marches ago, when it was 15 days to stop the spread. Things were still relatively low, but we didn't know a lot about it. Then we went into mandates and lockdowns. And if you just wait till the vaccinations come on board, everybody will be free from all these mandates and lockdowns. Well, we had a huge peak from November till about mid-December to maybe January. And then it dropped off. And there's been some slight pickups, but relatively low compared to the peak. What's disappointing is the fear mongering that's continued. If you look out at what's happened in Minnesota, and I picked up a bunch of data from the Department of Health, we're actually in a downward trend in cases on a 7-day average. And we're well below the peak that we saw back in November, December of 2020. There's no reason to put this mask mandate into place from a public health perspective. If you were to look at the ICU cases in Minnesota, they've been flat almost throughout the entire course of this 18 months, flat. So again, what's the reasoning here? You have less than a 1% chance of going into the ICU. And when you look at everything cumulatively, the majority of all the cases, all the deaths, all the issues occurred between November of 2020 and January 2021. Looking at deaths, you have a 1.2% chance of death in Minnesota and a 0.9% chance of death in Winona County. And again, the bulk of the deaths that we're counting against occurred in that same time frame I mentioned. And then the most interesting one is demographics by age. So I pulled a chart off of Minnesota Department of Health. And if you look at the proportion of cases by age related to proportion of deaths by age, it's clearly over into the 70s and 80-year-olds, and it's still a 1% chance. They might have a little higher one, right? It's 95% if you get into those upper age ranges. But your life expectancy is about 77 to 78 years old. So one could question, were they at the end of their life, or did COVID was that truly what killed those people? So again, the majority of people are not affected by this. They recover, they're just fine, and masks don't do anything. We've already heard about that. And I guess really my big question is, what is behind this? People can lie with statistics to keep this fear going. And the only reason they do that is because it's either a power play, or it's money, or it's both. And I guess I just asked the question, what is it? Which one is it? Because the data that comes out, you can look at it two different ways, and it can be spun in any way. There's a book that Bill Gates, of all people, recommended called How to Lie with Statistics. And unfortunately, that's what this has become, is a game to keep the game going. And it's disappointed, and I'd ask you to please consider making this pro-choice.
Thank you. All right, was there a last call? Is there anyone else wishing to address the county board? You've all been very patient and courteous. I appreciate that. Okay, seeing nobody come and nobody signaling, we will move on.
Well, just a quick comment. 20 minutes your camera was on before the meeting started. 3 of you in a county building where masks are required sat without masks in close proximity with others. Just thought I'd mention that.
Okay, all right, thank you. And would you state your name and address for that comment for the record, please? Hello? Would you state your name and address if you're still there? Okay, that's okay. All right, thank you. All right, we will move on into our agenda. Item 5, approval of the county board meeting minutes from 5.1 is the county board from September 14th, 2021.
Move approve. Or acknowledge.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner, motion by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Kavesi, and this would actually be approval of the county board minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, meeting minutes approved. Item 6, consent comments and approval of the agenda. Mr. Fritz?
I have nothing to change.
Okay. Commissioner Kavesi?
Yeah, I have a quick question on item 7.3 and 7.8.
So you want to pull that?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I just have a quick question, and
Okay,
I have an announcement at the end.
Okay, 7.3
and 7.8.
and 7.8. Okay. Commissioner Meyer?
Nothing for me.
Okay.
The second one was 7.8, Commissioner.
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Olson?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Jacob?
Nothing for me.
Okay. I would like just a quick discussion on 7.2. And then I would like separate votes on 7.6, 7.7, and 7.9. So with that amended agenda, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the amended agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Commissioner Meyer to approve the amended agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, amended agenda approved. Mr. Fritz, would you read what's left there?
Left of the agenda?
Yes, please.
Just to be sure I got them, 7.2, 7.3, 7.6, 7.8, 7.9.
7.7.
And 7.7. Oh, and 7.7.
Yeah.
All right, let me make a note here.
What order was, okay. What order was 7.7 in? That'd be like 8.05?
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, so 7.3, I'm just going down the list.
And
7.3,
then that would
7.8,
make
7.2,
7.9, 8.
7.6, 7.7, 7.9.
It doesn't really matter. As long as you just clarify for me which one it is
Yeah,
when we get there.
There's a long
We'll
list.
repeat them.
Yeah.
There is a long
Okay.
list tonight.
All right,
To deal with that.
there you go.
Okay, so let's see if I can do this then. All right. For the consent agenda, department recommendation 7.1, approve David Brown and Associates Executive Search Contract for County Administrator. And you said 7.2 was pulled?
Yeah, 2 and
Okay.
3 are pulled.
7.3, so 7.4, adopt resolution authorizing acceptance and execution of Minnesota Housing Finance Agency Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program. 7.5, approve contract with C Click Fix. 7.6 was pulled.
Right.
Okay. 7.7 was pulled.
Yes.
7.8 was pulled. 7.9 was pulled.
Correct.
And then 7.10, approve transfer of funds from CARES Act COVID Fund 29 to General Fund 01. And then 7.11, set date for 2022 Truth in Taxation and Fee Schedule public hearing. And then 7.12, I'm sorry, confirm payment of disbursements. And that concludes the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Jacob, second by Commissioner Olson to approve the consent agenda as read. Any discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, approved. All right, so going down the list numerically, if we can, for clarity, 7.2, approve HBC broadband rural extension plan using American Rescue Funds. And I did ask to pull this, not that I'm against it, and I think it's good progress, but I see Mr. Pecorini? Okay, Pecorini, I apologize. If you would come to the podium, I guess it looks like we're expanding some well-needed areas. My question is, and not that HBC covers the whole breadth of Winona County, because you don't cover me. We're under a Centec, and I'm not sure if there's any others. I guess I would like at some point in the time to see where we still have gaps in the county between those two major providers, and I'm not sure if there are others that I'm not aware of. So maybe after you get these projects completed, and we can coordinate with Centec and see if we still have gaps. Or maybe you can tell me.
We work a lot with Centec on, so the Centec is a cooperative and they have a service area.
Right, yes.
So typically they're south of I-90
And then they have a section from the Crescent up to Dakota.
Yes.
So that's their primary area in Winona County. So we certainly would expect them to apply and work with those areas.
Right. But I guess in your service area, where are the gaps still after we hopefully get all these projects done?
So the gaps really are, these are really, really expensive areas to go after.
Yep.
Because there's about.
They are, but we're giving you a big chunk of change to accomplish this.
And that's why we're able to do some of this.
Yes.
So if we take a look, this is about 21,000 residential units in Winona County. I'm just giving a generalized number. 17,000 of those are in the cities of Winona County. Okay.
Yep.
We serve all of those towns. We serve we have service in every one of those towns. So that leaves about 4,000 units. We serve 1,500 with our HBC Air, which is a fixed wireless product. Right now, the maximum speeds on that are 50 meg service, and we're in the process of upgrading that to 100 meg by 20 meg, which meets the state standards, the new state guidelines. The old state guidelines were 25.3. Okay, so now what we're trying to do is we're trying to get everybody who's got less than 25.3, and that's what we're working with you on, and that's what we worked with you on last year with the CARES Act funds. And we were able to get a significant number of areas in a very, very short period of time. We ran out of time, and we had like 3 months to get something done, but railroad permits, state highway permit, the permitting process was very, very difficult. So, if you add our fixed wireless service to it, now we're at 18,500. And if you take what a Centec serves in Winona County, that's about another 500. So now we're at 19,000, and there's going to be there's probably about 1,000 to 2,000 homes. It's hard to tell because there's 3 homes here, 5 homes there, and then there's always the home where we stop. It's the next home and the next home and the next home that always get back to us. What we did this time with the funds that we're talking about here is we contacted every one of the school districts in the county to talk to representatives there and tried to find out where their families were suffering. And that's what we put together here. This is from the Winona School District, Lewiston, St. Charles, every school district in the county. So that's the focus here. We'd certainly love to be able to come to the table with the Centec in the future. I'm sure that they would be very, very interested in trying to reach some of the areas that maybe they have some difficulties, or there are some things that are challenging for them with their current network. So.
Sure. Okay. Well, and I would look forward to that presentation because, it's unfortunately, internet and access is like electricity. We want to flip the switch and we want it to be there.
Absolutely. And with we don't know what's going to happen with the schools as far. And winter comes and they may send kids home for an entire month while the weather clears, until the weather clears.
Yeah.
You never know, when the snow comes and all of that. But we want to make sure that we're taking care of the schools. There is a large number of male workers in our area, and they're utilizing our services, especially the rural services that we do with AIR. So but the areas we're talking about, I think there were 5 areas that are in this proposal. That is going to serve a number of homes that have been asking for this service for many, many years, and it's just so expensive to get to.
We'll keep the list. We'll ask citizens who don't have coverage that live in your area to give you a call, if that's okay, to get their name on a list. So if more funds are, come available, I think it is critical to make our county.
It's important at this day and age, it surely is. And people do business and they can do business from home. So it's essential. It's a big deal when the internet's out. Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer to having everybody in Winona County have service. Where that the families and the kids can have their learning and education from home, and that people can work from home.
Yes. Okay.
All right. These are all fiber. Everything that we're doing here.
Everything we're talking about here is all fiber to the home.
And got a question. You didn't get my email the other day, did you?
I did not.
You emailed the wrong Greg Olson. So. You have a Greg Olson that works for you, right?
No, no. We
At
used to,
HBC?
years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, years ago we did.
Oh, okay, because you asked me for some cable or something, did I? I thought you had the wrong Greg Olson. It came from you, but.
That's funny. So did you get it
You
for
might
him?
have got.
No, I said wrong Greg Olson. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Olson, second by Commissioner Meyer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, carried. Then let's go down. Commissioner Kavesi, you had 7.3.
Yeah, this is our monthly resolution and statistics from Health and Human Services. And I was looking at the numbers on page 49, and again, realizing that they're trending upward. And at the same time, at the end of our packet, we have a presentation from our Citizen Advisory Committee who assist us with these issues. So I just really wanted to point that out, that the numbers are going up. Hopefully we have resources, including our staff and the Citizens Review Panel. So I wanted to thank them all for their persistent work in these areas, even though the numbers are trending upward.
Okay, so that
I didn't really have a question, so I move that we approve 7.3.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Kavesi, seconded by Commissioner Olson to approve 7.3, which is the monthly resolution from the Human Service Department. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, approved. All right, thank you. Then 7.6, which is page 64. And I'm just, again, voting against anything union because at this point I see no performance measures as a part of our compensation system.
I'll move to approve 7.6.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Kavesi to approve the non-union wage grids 2021 through 2022. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I understand you want to vote against anything that would contribute to increasing taxes, but we're not going to balance the budget on employee salaries, especially in an environment where the job market is severely strained. You're welcome to vote against it, but also I understand that it takes money to pay our salaries, but we have to pay the people that work for us, or we're not going to have them. So
my point is not that I'm denying people a decent wage. And I've said a long time ago that a performance measure based system may cost me more, but this time served, pay scale just to me is not inducing better and improved performance. So I have asked for a long time for some type of performance review to be built into the pay scale versus just you've been here another year, you get an automatic, not only a wage increase, but many times a step increase. And the step really bothers me because that's just, there is nothing for performance. It's just, again, you served another year and you get X number of dollars. And that's my point. I realize a performance system may cost me more, but I just am bound and determined at some point in time to get some type of performance. And I've talked to many counties, both small and large, that do this, and they found it to be successful. Commissioner Olson.
I just want to clarify that the step increases are a way to get to the wage of the job as over a period of years, not to
not start at the top.
Yeah. So
you have to work your way.
Yeah.
Put in the time,
right,
and earn it.
And
I think
if
it's a
you're
fairly
good
proven.
and if you're a good employee and have a great skill set and a great attitude and you're an asset, I think they should be rewarded versus time served. Again, that's a philosophical
I believe in being
difference.
fair, and I think it's somewhat insulting to the employees that have worked long and hard to earn their stuff.
And I would like to reward them in a different way. So
I don't think
okay.
we're overpaying. I don't I don't ever vote for overpaying, but average is average, and we're not above average on anything. So we have a hard time getting too average.
Okay,
So
all right.
I'll
Any
support
other
it.
discussion? I think, let's see, Commissioner Meyer approved and Commissioner Kavesi seconded.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say
Aye.
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 Opposed, nay? Nay. Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve 7-7 too.
7-7, well, again, 7-7 and 7-9 are both my, there is just no performance incentives in our compensation package, and that's why I will not.
Motion
will
for 7-7, 7-9.
I will second Commissioner Olson's motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Meyer to approve 7.7, which is approve Local 49 labor agreement of 2022 to 2024, and 7.9 is approve AFSCME Courthouse Unit Amendment 2021-2022. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Nay. Okay, passes. Now we need to go back to 7.8, approve 2022 Citizen Advisory Committee's process and timeline, page 116.
Yeah, I just had a question on the first paragraph for the background. The last sentence, I'm not understanding it, and I don't know if there's a missing word or if it just needs to be explained, but it's talking about the process, the application process. It says there are mandatory areas needing completion in which cannot be removed. I don't understand that last part. I understand that when people fill in the application, even if it's for a reapplication, for they have to fill in the full form, and that's what I understand. But the second part doesn't make sense. And I know the form.
Is Ms. Holte online?
The form always does have some comments because it's hard to make the form fit the circumstance.
Right, Commissioner Jacob.
I guess to me it does make sense. We were trying to streamline and reduce redundancies in needing to fill out multiple applications for multiple positions. And it's just making the statement that there are mandatory areas needing completion, which cannot be removed. I mean, all those areas need to be completed, and there's I think it's just saying we've streamlined it as much as we can. I'm
They
comfortable.
filled out the form 2 years ago. They still have to fill it out again.
It doesn't speak to that in that sentence.
No, but it's grammatically incorrect.
Yeah.
When you read it, you skipped the "in" that's in there. That's, I think, the point.
So we just want,
Okay, then I understand it if you skip the "in." Yeah.
We don't know if that was always intended or not.
I can understand it with the in there, but if you want to take it out.
It was above my head.
all right.
I'm an editor, but.
Okay. But I think staff is trying to, make it
Yeah,
less
I just wanted to make
complicated.
sure there wasn't.
It's as short as we can get it.
Is burdensome,
Yeah.
as a process. Okay,
Oh, I see, that there are areas that cannot be removed.
right.
Okay, I
With the
get it now.
forms and the
All right,
system we use.
I move acceptance or approval of item 7.8.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Kavesi, second by Commissioner Jacob to approve the 2022 Citizen Advisory Committee's process timeline. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, approved. All right. Moving along into general business. 8.1, receive presentation of Citizen Review Panel Annual Report for 2020. And we have somebody here, or are they going to be virtual or?
This is Tammy Stosen. I'll be virtual today if you can hear me.
Okay, 1 second. I keep hearing an echo.
Yeah, is that
Can
off?
we turn this?
Anybody up there?
I don't think anybody's out here. No. So how do we turn this off?
Yes. I need to do that.
Okay. No, it's still there, but
Hit the button.
Hey, Ben's tall, he can probably do it.
okay. Okay, sounds like it's off. Tammy, go ahead, please. Oh, it's not off.
I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I would have preferred that. I just thought the meeting would be going late tonight. And I'm not going to sit and read to you guys the report that was submitted, but just want to let you know that we're continuing to support child protection in any way that we can. We did have a couple resign last year in 2020 and then added a couple members, as you'll see. I continue to be a co-chair with Betsy Rokamp, and we last year, because of COVID, the national conference was canceled. And so we used our funds in some creative ways. We talked with the state DHS kind of liaison for us and spoke with her and got some ideas from other CRPs throughout the state, and ended up using our money and provided gift cards to kids that were in extended foster care, just trying to help out kind of that population as much as we can. And we're just kind of looking forward to hopefully a different year in 2021. We continue to meet virtually throughout this year just because of COVID. And last year we didn't do a project because of COVID. This year we're kind of struggling to try to figure out exactly the direction that we're taking, but we're still meeting and still talking. Mary Doyle from the state, who's been with us for a long time, resigned, and so we have a new person from the state that's coming on and learning her role with the Citizens Review Panel. So we're still here kind of trying to be creative and find ways to help the child protection workers and supervisors in any way that we can. I don't know if you have questions about the report.
Any questions? Tammy, I have one. I know you've lost a few people and people have moved around, but we just approved our citizen volunteer committees, and we don't have you on the list. Would you like us to put you on the list in our general listing of committees and see if we get any interested applicants?
I would need more information about that and would want to ask other members. None of them are on here today, so I guess I wouldn't want to make that decision just on my own without having some more information.
Okay, so why don't you discuss it with your group? You can see our item, which highlights our process for getting citizen volunteers, is in our board packet. It was number 7.8, and it was on page 116 of today's board packet. You could discuss and advise us if we want to add that. Ken, I'm getting a look of like, what are you doing?
Well, the first thing you had is how did we appoint them in the past?
Well,
whether it was appointed by the board or not, I don't know the answer. To that,
I guess you're right. I don't know. I'm just saying if they're struggling for membership, if we can do anything to help them get members.
Yeah, I'm not
or
opposed
just,
to the
yeah,
concept, but
maybe we don't
I just
appoint them.
didn't wanna step on anybody's toes.
Yeah,
Let
maybe
them
we
get
just
back
get
to us
Research.
Yeah, we get some applicants that might be interested, and then we can forward them to that group.
Yeah,
Or
because this is a little different than some of the advisory committees because it's a state product, I guess you want to put it that way.
Yep.
State reporting, it may be a little different. I don't know if there are any requirements of how we appoint people or whatever. So we need to do some research.
Okay, so
And then
Tammy,
see what
we
they're
will.
filling in.
Tammy, we will do some research on our end. Why don't you discuss with your members if they desire for us to help in recruiting? And we'll do what we can do, or what you would want us to do. Commissioner Meyer.
I would just say thank you very much for your work on this. It's really important.
Thank you. The committee, there's some people that have been on there for a long time. They're sticking it through some hard times here. So they couldn't all be on or be here today, but I will let them know that you guys sent some appreciation.
Absolutely, 100%.
right.
Yeah, I consider it really helpful, so.
Yes, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our 8.2, approval of the resolution setting preliminary levy. Page 134. And Mr. Fritz, do you have anything additional?
It's pretty short and not different than what we talked about before. It's right now it's listed on the agenda as a 3% increase in the county's property tax levy. It's what we talked about at the budget working session. So everything still holds true in terms of how that really would relate to the budget. Basically, the 3% generates about half of the deficit, and then the other half is covered by American Rescue Plan revenue recapture funds that we'll be able to recapture for public safety and for emergency services. Our deficit's a little under $1 million right now. So between the 3% increase and the other American Rescue Plan money, we would balance the budget. The thing that was noted in the working session that I think is important is that without a levy increase, there's a cumulative effect of expense increases in the next couple of years. And so while we could substitute reserves for that, if you don't pass some kind of tax increase, you'll be dealing with a bigger tax increase, well, bigger deficit, not necessarily tax increase, but a bigger deficit in the coming years. So my recommendation was to adopt a 3%, which helps mitigate it next year somewhat. Doesn't eliminate it, but it will make it better than it would be if we didn't do anything.
Questions or discussion?
Well, sure, I'll offer a little of my position. First of all, looks very thorough, and I don't see anything that looks out of place on it. As a conservative person, financially conservative, I remember the days when we had 0% and even tax cuts, and that's certainly what I would still want to strive for, would be 0% or tax cut. And I think the only part of it that's, I guess, a little bit of a tough pill for me to swallow is I voted against the jail, and previously we had debt service. And I've been working, I'm in my 9th year on the board, and been really looking forward to the day when we become debt-free, which is about now.
Yeah.
So to just automatically parlay those payments into paying the new jail deficit, or the new liability of the jail, that's just a tough pill for me to swallow. So tonight I'm going to vote against a 3% tax levy, and not because I don't think that it wasn't thoroughly vetted. I think the work that's been done on the budget is good, but I want to strive for even lower. And I think that many times when the budgets are tighter, it really forces departments to have to dig deeper than when they're fully funded. And I do feel like Winona County is fully funded. We're providing all services, but I'm still pushing harder for tax relief than I am for additional services. And of course, the jail is not just, it's a bigger, it's a big part of this budget. So that's my reasoning for voting against a 3% increase. If anyone votes for it, maybe it'll be a 0%.
I think some items earlier in our meeting, we just approved employee contracts, which is a very large part of our budget. And I think the 3% preliminary levy is reasonable. I think it was, the budget was well done, and I'm gonna make a motion to approve the 3% preliminary levy.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Olson, second by Commissioner Meyer to approve the 3% levy, preliminary levy. Any further discussion? Well, my 2 cents is that we're sending this country is sending such a mixed signal to our taxpayers. We've got a federal government that's handed us like $9.8 million. We didn't ask for $9.8 million, and it comes with lots of strings and things that we can do with it and we can't do with it. But it comes from every taxpayer in the great state, United States of America. It's not, free money. It is taxpayer money. So we have to figure out how to spend that as wisely and best we can. And I hope we come up with we don't have a definitive plan, and that everybody's still working on that diligently, which I agree. So I cannot in my right conscience ask local property taxpayers to pay a 3% increase when we haven't figured out how to spend the and I know you can't supplant monies that you're using, and there's a lot, again, all the strings that happen. But it's just a crazy amount of signals we're sending property taxpayers that we need more money from you to run Winona County government, but we're getting all this money from the federal government. So I won't support a 3% increase. So,
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Kavesi.
Yeah, I just want to go back to those monthly statistics we get from Health and Human Services. You know, there are a lot of services that we provide for people, and the number of people that need those services is increasing. I want to commend our staff. They're doing more with less every year. And, you know, there are places where we could have new employees performing more services for our constituents. But I can support the 3% this year. And I appreciate the work that went into the budget. I thought it was very carefully worked out. Thank you, Mr. Fritz.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Nay. Okay, passes 3-2. All right. Committee reports. Commissioner Kavesi, you said you had an announcement.
Yeah, one of our speakers that came to the podium tonight asked for the chance to ask questions of the experts. And that reminded me that there is a program through Mayo Clinic. They have a series of videos, and there is a video that's scheduled for this Friday at 12 noon. You can find it on the Mayo Clinic website. It's Dr. Poland, and you can also review his previous videos. They take questions. They discuss different aspects. It's all related to COVID. But it's Mayo Clinic, Friday at 12 noon, and you can ask the experts questions, or you can look back and see what questions they've already handled. So,
12 noon Friday, you said?
Right.
Okay, Mayo Clinic. If
yeah,
Google Mayo
it's virtual.
Clinic.
Yeah.
You could put an eye out with that.
You doing throwing things?
He shot his clip
Okay, all right.
right past Commissioner Jacobs' head.
I attended the AMC Fall Policy Conference, and we need to really have Attorney Sonneman work hard. There was quite a discussion about the opioid settlement. The opioid settlement is now approximately $26 billion over 18 years. It's the second largest settlement other than the tobacco settlement that's happened in this litigation. And we've got Ramsey, Hennepin, and Winona County attorneys working on it. And to tell you the truth, the small counties are a little worried about the Ramseys and Hennepins of the world. So I assured them that I would ask Winona County Attorney Karen Sonneman to look out for the little guys.
Which I'm doing.
And they have their trust in us. The big thing is how the distribution of these dollars. We had a person from
Yes, Chris.
Yeah.
We had somebody from North Carolina there. It was Julie Ring's counterpart from North Carolina. And North Carolina is a little bit different, but they came up with like an 85%. Yeah, rate to the counties. Now, our fear in the great state of Minnesota is that Keith Ellison's going to try and grab the majority of it and then divvy it out to us. We, as AMC as counties, we want the money to come to counties, the bulk of it directly to the counties, and then a little to the Attorney General's office and a little to the side. Now, North Carolina has an interesting thing. Their county attorneys are not elected. They are appointed. They go out and hire and fire county attorneys. So they've got an attorney bill they have to deal with too. But $2 billion of this settlement was set aside for attorney fees. Whereas Minnesota, the luxury of electeds, we don't have to pay her anymore if she gets a good settlement or a bad settlement. It's right, Attorney Sonneman. But a lot of discussion. It's a very short timetable. As I'm sure you're well aware of, we have to make all these decisions by the end of the year as to how this is all going to, play out, and it's to our, our benefit to get as many dollars. When state of Minnesota is supposed to get about $330 million was an estimate that was provided.
327.
Oh, okay. Well, pretty close then, the estimate and stuff. So again, I assured my small county parts that Sonneman would recognize the small. And there's going to be AMC wanted like a small body of leadership to be at the table, the negotiating table. So we do have some people from AMC there, so that we're all in this together, 87 counties. Okay.
Yeah, and that is ongoing. Yep. I'm excuse me, I'm involved with that. Yes.
Yes. So pay attention, please. I know you will.
I am.
I know you will. Don't
I-
divert your
I-
attention to other
I
things.
volunteered myself because they were not kind of focused on the smaller
Yep,
counties.
that's why I said, I
So-
even had some of the outer metro
Yeah.
a little
Mhm.
concerned about the
Right,
Hennepins and the
'cause we
Ramseys.
filed a lawsuit as well. So,
Yes,
yep, mhm,
okay.
yep.
All right, anything else to come before the Winona County Board at this time? If not, entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Olson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're adjourned. Thank you.